Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. Now we have reached week 5 of e-learning. In this week we will discuss about the biography of Geoffrey Chaucer and an introduction to the Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Me, Faisal Ahmed, as usual throughout this lecture with you. Let's begin. Geoffrey Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer, born in 1343 and died in 1400, who is called the father of English literature and language, wrote his magnum opus, the Canterbury Tales, in between 1387 and 1400. It is said that he was inspired to write a narrative tale of 14th century English life by the Italian master Boccaccio. The Canterbury Tales is modeled after Decameron. However, David Dietz holds that Chaucer was inspired by the novelle of Giovanni Sarcombe, and most probably he had never seen Decameron. On 15th of April 1387, a group of 29 pilgrims arrived at the Tabardian, Southwark, to undertake a pilgrimage to the Canterbury Cathedral to pay homage to St. Thomas Becket. Chaucer joined the group along with the innkeeper Harry Bailey. They began their pilgrimage on the dawn of 16th April and reached the holy shrine on the evening of 18th April. That means the journey took 3 days on horseback. They had to ride through the undefined road of nearly 101 miles. At present, the distance between Southwark and Canterbury is 60 kilometers. This is the Canterbury Cathedral at present. The Canterbury Cathedral now. Pathway of Canterbury, the cathedral, Canterbury Cathedral. Here's the pilgrims, the minor pilgrims. The wife of Bath, the shipman, the person, the miller, the summoner, the pardoner, the Paris, the Oxford clerk. In addition to these pilgrims, there are also the knight, the squire, and the wife of Bath, already I have mentioned here. The section of Chaucer's pilgrims en route. There are 30 pilgrims plus Chaucer and the host. 29 meet at the Tabard, and the 30th join on the way. Chaucer goes along as a naïve observer, a reporter. The host Harry Bailey goes along as the guide, the one who suggests the idea of telling stories on the way to Canterbury and on the return from Canterbury to pass the time. And the third, the judge for the best tale The winner will receive a sumptuous feast paid for by the rest of the pilgrims. Here is the map from Southwark to Canterbury. Chaucer's Pilgrim's route to Canterbury, the shrine. Here's the Southwark, you can see in the map. Then Dartford, then Greenwich, then again Dartford. This side is west, east, north and south. Rochester, River Medway, River Thames. Sittingbourne, Ospreys, Bolton under Blean, Harwell Down, and then Canterbury. The distance between London and Canterbury was 101 miles in Chaucer's time. It required 3 days of hard travel on horseback. Here's the Tabardian, where the pilgrims took rest on their way to the shrine. Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Chaucer had an intention of writing altogether 120 stories, but he could write only 22 complete and 2 incomplete stories, making the total of 24 because of his physical ailments and disturbed royal patronages. He narrated the tales from the perspective of an omniscient narrator. Chaucer's pilgrims represented almost all the social classes of 14th century England, excluding the highest and the lowest. The pilgrims were not religious people in the true sense of the term. Here we shall see only 3 pilgrims, the knight, the squire, and the wife of Bath. Here in the round table, 29 pilgrims along with Chaucer, the author, and Harry Bailey, the innkeeper at the supper in the Tabardian on the night of 16th April 1387. The knight led the pilgrimage. He was an ideal knight having all the characteristic virtues of a medieval knight. He was a courageous soldier having experiences of fighting in 15 mortal battles. He fought in the Crusades and beheaded 3 enemy leaders. He was wise and honest. He was not interested in showmanship or show off. He was as meek and gentle as a maid. The Squire, son of the knight, the young man. The Squire is portrayed in line number 79 to 100 in the general prologue of the Canterbury Tales. He is the second pilgrim Chaucer introduces in the general prologue. He is the knight's son and companion in this pilgrimage. He tells his tale 11 after the merchant and before the franklin. He is a pretty good squire and rides a horse well, can joust well, and he can even carve the meat for the knight well at dinner. The franklin praises him as a perfect young man. The squire is a teenager, a bit of a pretty boy, and prone to serious infatuations that keep him up all night. He represents both youthfulness and femininity. The wife of Bath. Here's the Bath, and here's the wife of the Bath. The wife of Bath's portrait is the 15th in the general prologue. She is the 6th to tell her tale in the competition of telling stories among the pilgrims, after the man of law and before the friar. She is considered as the first round character in English literature. The wife of Bath is Chaucer's most delightful character. She is a skilled weaver, Tati, who even surpasses the weavers of Ypres and Ghent. These are the names of 2 places, Ypres and Ghent. She thinks highly of herself and loses all patience if anybody dares to precede her in making an offering. She is garishly dressed. She wears scarlet red stockings and supple new shoes. Her handkerchiefs are of the finest wave and weigh over 10 pounds. Chaucer mentions that she has been married 5 times and has had innumerable affairs in her youth. She has travelled widely and has been on pilgrimage to Jerusalem, Rome, Bologna, Galicia, and Cologne. She is gap-toothed and rides her gentle, ambling horse easily. It was believed in the Middle Ages that a gap-toothed person would be very lucky and travel far and wide. The lengthy description of her travels indicates that she has led a fairly comfortable life. She wears a riding skirt round her large hips and a pair of sharp spurs on her heels. She knows how to enjoy herself in company, and her special fortune lies in her knowledge of all the curses of love. Her knowledge about the remedies of love is probably a reference to Ovid's Amor Remedia. She is the first feminist character in English literature and appeals for the liberation of women in her tale. She is a charming, lively, energetic character. The Tabardian and Geoffrey Chaucer. April 16, Assembly at the Tabardian. The journey here's the description of the journey of the pilgrimage. April 17, sunrise about 4:45. The journey begins. They spend the night at Dartford, which is about 15 miles from London. On April 18, sunrise. The journey continues. They spend the night at Rochester, which is about 30 miles from London. April 19, sunrise. The journey continues. They spend the night at Ospringe, which is 46 miles from London and 10 miles from Canterbury. On April 20, sunrise. The journey is over. They arrive in Canterbury, the shrine of the holy person or saint, and the person begins his The journey is over. They arrive in Canterbury and the person begins his sermon at about 4 p.m. Today the distance from Southwark to Canterbury is about 60 miles, 3 days of hard travel by horseback. In the 14th century, roads are not as good or easy to travel as today. However, since most of the pilgrims probably walked, I am not sure how long it took. Here are the links and references. So that's all for week 5. Next week we will discuss about other pilgrims who joined the knight, the squire, and the wife of Bath. And they are the shipman, the person, the miller, the summoners, the partners, the Paris, and the Oxford clerk. We will know about the characters of these diversified people. Thank you and bye-bye.